Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast. We take a look on Anime Sickos at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
Often I'll see people complain about podcasts, not ours, other podcasts. They'll complain. They'll say...
Of which there are none, though, but...
Yeah,
yes.
Which would makes this even weirder that they do this. But they'll say something to the effect of, like, I couldn't stand this podcast. It was excruciating. Because instead of talking about the topic of the episode, the hosts just went on and on about minutia that happened to them, like about their lives specifically, that no one else could possibly care about. They just went on and on about that for like 10 minutes before they got to the topic. Well, guess what, fucker? There's no topic in this one. It's all that.
We are in uncharted waters. Basically, the reason is the theme was we ain't got no ideas. Because, like, here's the thing. It's like, I wanted to do an episode on this show, Severance. It's very good. I just think we could just do another one. Don't acknowledge the first one. We just do it again. It's that good.
It was so funny. Joe was all cooked up. Joe was all excited, like, cooked up. That's what you do. Being cooked is bad. That wasn't what was happening.
What is cooked up? You're
I don't know, like sizzling
he has hamburger
in a pan.
earmuffs. What are you saying?
Joe was really excited about, like, what's another show we can watch? I'm excited about shows. And it felt awful because it was like someone who was like only eating like gruel. And then they had like, I prepared him like a plate of dragon meat and was like, this is great. Can we have more? It's like, no, that was the only dragon. They never made
this is Dragon Ball again. This is like, you're a kid. You're like, wow, this is anime. What else is the... Oh, okay, so this is like the only thing like this. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Like, I bet they're all just as good, and they all have just as unique and charming an art style, and the perverts are probably only slightly off-putting. They do all have a pervert character. That's still true. That part was accurate.
It is funny... the degree to which I was burnt out, just because, like, when I finished a TV series for the first time since, like, I don't know, probably before Ivan was born, I was like, oh, I can do it. I did it. Like, I was like, oh, I can consume a narrative. And it was just like, I was just cooked all the time after work, and I just didn't have it in me. The only other show we've been sort of getting through slowly is The Bear.
So if I understand this right, you just saw Cousin's training arc episode.
Oh, we're done with season 2. So we saw when he learns about Nen. It's so like, this is not an exaggeration, like the arc. And I don't mean to like say like this makes the character not good. The character's wonderful. It's like, he's a piece of shit. A guy says, hey, you should care more about forks, and he just gets his DNA rewritten. And he becomes like a butler.
He becomes a butler. I mean, I can't say anything.
He's still calling people lizards and stuff. Like, I like that he's still very much like shitty.
I think, just like someone's like, you can like try to do a good job, right? Like, you do know that like,
you know what it is? It's the like non-funny version of when Tim Robinson gets told by that kid, like, you don't have to just say the first thing that comes into your head.
Sometimes I think things and I don't say them because it might hurt their feelings. And it's just like, what? Oh my god! I love that because the cousin is like the best character in The Bear. If you don't know about The Bear, it's about fucking restaurants and shit
in Chicago. That's the other thing. It is. It does feel like it's like Petri dish grown in a lab for me, because it's like, oh, here's a Pixie song with the L going by. It's like very pleasing. I'm sure they would play this before I get Temple Grandin. They would do this to Temple Grandin me.
Yes. So that like when the plunger smashed into your skull, the goo inside would be at maximum relaxation.
What if it... One, if it was called the Spelunger, and 2, if they kept saying that in No Country for Old Men. Just like Sugar and his Spelunger, he can't be stopped.
I just said plunger, but I think Spelunger is a better. See, this is why you have 2 people writing. One punches up. Man, I gotta say, this is apropos of nothing, but what a dumbass. Like, who were the fucking guys who decided what the terms were? That punch up both meant to literally throw a punch up in terms of telling a joke, which I hate that term because I'm like, no comedian is punching. If there was a comedian on stage punching at any direction, I'd be like, that guy's insane. Anyway, but to punch up is to take a swing at power, but also to punch up is to make more funny. Fuck this. I hate this. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Back to the bear. So one thing about the bear that makes it really authentic to Chicago is that there are a lot of parts that are not authentic to Chicago at all, that people who are in Chicago can say that's actually not really authentic Chicago, which if they didn't have that, if you weren't able to be like, that's not authentic Chicago, then it would be less authentically Chicago.
Yeah, the point of the show is so people like us can be just fucking awful. Just real annoying. Although I will say, I don't care about ketchup on hot dogs. Like, that's so... being offended when someone does that. Like, I think a Chicago dog should not have ketchup, but there are places, I'm thinking of like Flub-a-Dub Chubbs in Lakeview, where like if you get ketchup on your dog, they like take your picture and put you on like the wall of shame. I do not endorse that behavior.
In general, I think all sort of like behavior in which one gets fucking huffy about stuff other people are eating is simply childish, and it is embarrassing in a big way. And I've been on record in saying that one such manifestation of that is when you declare that some food you don't like is bad, like is terrible. Like tomatoes are nasty. It's like you are a child.
In a Calvinism sense.
Yeah,
like it has been judged.
you have a baby's brain. You had an opportunity to grow and learn, and you decided not to. And as a result, I think less of you. And yeah, I'm sort of that same mind about like the Chicago dog, like with the ketchup. I don't care. I would say no to ketchup if it were offered to me. But same
because
time,
the point is it wouldn't fit on, like, I mean, physically it would fit because, like, the whole thing barely fits physically.
Yeah,
but, like, it's like just like an assault of, it's a fucking tube salad, okay?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But, like, if I were to get, like, a Costco dog and they're like, we don't have any relish, there's just ketchup and mustard, I'm going to put ketchup and mustard on the fucking Costco dog. I don't know. You can kill me if you want. The thing about the bear is that they play REM Half a World Away over key scenes, and they don't cut away. Like, they play the whole song, dude. Half a World Away is one of the best. It's so underrated.
When the subtitles say, like, REM's Half a World Away is playing, I just remember thinking, if that was time, I'd care about this more.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. The Claire and main guy theme is REM Strange Currencies. I'm not going to get into what I think about the Claire character because for 2 reasons. 1, a lot of people really hate her. And 2, I don't have anything to say one way or the other. I'm totally neutral.
She's just like not in the show much for season 2. Her character is that she's a resident, so she's a new doctor. So like that's kind of like how Winnie and I started dating. Like she was at that part in her career and I was just opening restaurants, and we just didn't see each other that much. Also, she was in Hyde Park, which, if you know anything about Chicago, it's impossible to get to. U of C students are evolving differently because they're like isolated.
Yeah, you know how in Elden Ring you have to like go to the end of that big cavern in like Noxtella, the Eternal City, and you have to get into that coffin. And then the coffin takes you to the Lake of Rot. It's like, and you can only get to Noxtella by having Radon die, and thus the comets that he was holding at bay smash into the earth and open up a big hole in the ground that you can get into. That's how you get to Hyde Park in Chicago.
It's also where like the highest property values are. The Obama mansions over there. Technically, I think in a historic Kenwood neighborhood, whatever, it's the same shit.
Yeah. I would just to say, the bear is so funny because, well,
do we need to talk authentic? What's authentic Chicago and what's not?
Yeah, why not? Give me some.
Well, when I look at the train, I hear the Pixies in my head.
That's true. Okay.
So that part's accurate. I find a deep kinship in the way people say fucked. Like, this is fucked. This is fucked. It's like, oh, it's my dad's here.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we all came from this cursed land.
Yeah. There's the fucking character played by Maddie Matheson, Fack, who a lot of people hate because he's, especially in season 3, he shows up a lot. But I think that's a real type of guy. Like
he is a type of guy, and not only that, he is like one guy of like a family of, I guess, 20. And we had growing up, there was a similar thing. They were the Gainers, but they had the same nose. Like, it was this happens. These are permutations in nature that occur.
Yeah, one of my buddies from grade school was like from an Irish Catholic family, and he was something like the oldest of 11. Like, it was a truly like unfathomable number. The physical toll that
yeah, like, how can you do that to someone you in theory love?
It's like, hey dear, remember that thing you did that was like so tough and like so hard, and you've also done it 6 times, and it like ruined your body the first time, and then there was 5 additional times. Well, guess what? We got 5 more in store. I don't know, dude. I mean, like, they weren't that family wasn't the Facts because they were from Wilmette, so they were like gentry. But I don't know, like, cut their net worth in half, and like, buddy, you got a passel of facts for sure. Some shit that is not authentic is that if Mr. Beef went away and got replaced with a fine dining restaurant, like, that would be like, people would be really mad.
The fires would still be going.
Also, like, even before the main character like goes to Mr. Beef, which is, again, that's a real shop in the same location that is fictionalized in the show. Even before he goes there, like, they're like serving like mashed potatoes and like spaghetti at Mr. Beef, and like, no, they don't. They serve Italian beef. Period. Like, that is the thing that they have.
For many of the reasons that are clear in the show, which is gets people in and out fast.
Also, like, you don't have to buy anything other than beef and seasonings for beef. And I guess bread.
A key part of it is that you eat it over there's no chair, but there's like a little like 1-inch jut out counter that you hunch over.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Love that. I don't know if you know this. So you've just finished season 2. Season 3 just came out. Me and my wife watched that one. So the thing about season 3 was that, and I know this, I'm saying this knowing that, like, I'm in the context of The Bear, which is a show where not a lot happens, period. In season 3, nothing fucking happens. Like, even calibrating for the baseline nothing happening of The Bear, nothing fucking happens. It's wild. Like, there's one episode at the end where they're going to the fucking fine dining restaurant is shutting down because the chef wants to retire, and everyone's like, oh my god. And so all the fancy people go to the closing of the restaurant for one final meal, and it's all sort of fancy, famous real life chefs, and they all have like a 5-minute monologue talking about like how what I do is so meaningful and so important. And I'm just like, I'm glad they're doing this and not having a character arc for fucking anyone.
Do you agree that this sounds like a manga chapter? It's just like they're like, oh yeah, this is happening.
Yes. Yeah, this is where, like, in the martial arts manga, the artist is just like, I don't want to fucking draw a fight. I'm just going to have, like, fucking Baki's dad talk about how like knowing katas is like this is how you unlock the secrets of the world. When you know how to hold your arms for maximum killing, you're basically...
I think the Baki thing I often come back to, like you are pontificating about like these are the techniques you must learn, but the thing in Baki that happens that I think about all the time is like his dad throws him down a rocky mountain, but like he parries every like stumble.
Yeah,
like so,
it's called
yeah,
Tekken,
dude, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny.
Holy moly, the bear is good. It really needs to get season 4. I think so. I think part of it was that like season 3 they were like getting so into like we're getting so much good footage. We got to stretch this because there's like a lot of episodes that are really focused on tone and like just like being with the characters in real time, and that's nice. And like if you have a great cast and they're just like, oh, they're like living it, man, like they are these people, I can understand the that you would want to like, let's put that in the show and stretch this season into 2. But if season 4 doesn't come out soon and have actual things happen in it, I'm gonna be off. I'm getting off the bear train. I'm getting off the L. Ding dong, doors closing. The fucking wave of mutilation is over. I'm onto something else.
If there was no Chicago angle, I probably wouldn't be bought in.
No way, dude. Not a chance.
It's like a big screensaver for me. It's like, here's the stuff outside.
Yeah. Remember when you went around this? You've seen some of this. There is a fucking early in season 3. There's just a montage of like, here's some, like, you've heard about food, right? Like, food. Well, here is in Chicago some of that. And they just do and it's just show. It's like, the fucking meme of the MS Paint, like 30-year-old consumer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I recognize that. Whoa. And everyone's like, fools. You watch Marvel movies and go like this. What you should do is you watch the Chicago food montage from the bear. And you go, oh, it's Red Hot Ranch. Can we talk about...
Which we went to. Can we talk about I went to the wrong one.
I kept telling Joe, so... let's meet there at 12:30. It's right by the Western Blue Line. So you get on the Blue Line. You get off at Western. It's right there. It's like right on the Western Blue Line. So I'm going to walk there to the Western Blue Line. And then we'll meet there, and then we can walk home to my house and then hang out. So I'll see you at the Western Blue Line. And I get there, and I walked up to Red Hot Ranch exactly at 12:30. I'm like, oh, my God, incredible. I see that Joe has gotten a cab. He's like, God, something's wrong with the Blue Line. I'm just going to get a cab. And I'm like, okay.
What? It's fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that it's not. And he's like, I'm here. And I look around. No. And I'm like, did you go to the one that's not by the Western Blue Line?
2 things here is that the second location isn't even that far from the first, which is wild. I don't understand how that works. And the reason, like the 100% reason why I went to that other one is I was like, Western Blue Line, I saw it was by a Blue Line station. I did not look further than the fact that it was a Blue Line station, and I hit go.
Yeah, I thought like, the day's fucking shot. Like, I'm just going to turn back. I'm not even going to get a lunch for myself. I'm
it's like a block away. I don't know
5 minutes later, Joe was there. I'm like, what the shit? Why, too?
I feel like they would be eating into each other's business, but I don't know.
The thing about Red Hot Ranch, that's really yummy. I liked my burger.
They do smash burgers.
Yeah,
this is the term. So how would you describe it? It's like you have a regular burger, and then you just kind of work through some things on it, and you make it like a smash burger looks like a growth you have to get checked out. It has very uneven edges. It's scary.
I mean, the smash burger is, you watch Alton Brown and he says, oh, the Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction when you sear meat that creates a delicious flavor. Yummy. Make sure you sear your steaks. That's not what Alton Brown sounds like.
No, but he's a Muppet.
In theory, like in his soul, that's what he feels like, I should say. So basically a smash burger is like, what if we made the entire meat that, and there wasn't an inside, like it's just all out. And so, yeah, you work out, you need to have been yelled at by your parents in order to smash the appropriate smash and make it, yeah.
They just took GTA away, okay?
Yeah. Oh my God. They heard about the hot coffee mod and they think it's the sex game. They think that's all you do in it. So not only is it away, but they think less of you. It's very good. It's very funny because it's called Red Hot Ranch. It's got a big hot dog on it, but like you only get the burger. It even says on the website like Red Hot Ranch was open as a hot dog shop and blah 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 blah. Blah. We went to the owner and chef went to California to go on a trip, and we had an In-N-Out burger, and we were like, we should make a burger like this but better, and so we did. And then all of a sudden our fucking business tripled, and now that's what we do is the burger. Like you can still get a hot dog, but you're a dumb bitch if you do. It was good. There is this like fancy ass omakase restaurant that is right by Red Hot Ranch that's like $400 a seat, where like you like the guy, like the chef is like right there and he's like talking to you all night and you're eating for like 5 hours.
I don't want that level, because like at that point it's the fucking Mr. Show, like I'm gonna shit in a box underneath the fancy dining chair thing and the guy will take away my leavings. Like there's just too much customer service at a certain point to me makes me uncomfortable, because it's like, can I free you? Like, is there a phrase I have to say? Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm afraid of going both because of I don't have $800 to drop for me and my wife to have dinner, but also like the thing about omakase is that like, yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know what it is in Japanese, but it's something to the effect of like the chef's choice. The whole point is that like you are so confident in the chef's abilities that like anything you decide is the right thing to eat is so much more wise than what I think is the right thing to eat. And it's like, well, I know from sushi they're going to try to give me that omelet and they're going to try to give me shellfish, and I'm going to have to say like, I don't want to eat this thing that represents like $70 of my money because I think it's uki. Can you take it away, please? And like, I'll get yelled at. Anyway, the point being, that guy did a AMA on Reddit, like, with, asked me about my delicious food, and they said, "What's your favorite restaurant in Chicago?" And he says, "Red Hot Ranch." It's like, it's next door to me. I've eaten at Red Hot Ranch more than any other restaurant in Chicago by like a mile. It's the best.
It looks like shit inside the right way. I'm not saying it looks like shit, but the ways in which it looks shabby, this is the real deal.
Yeah. It looks like their refrigerators work, which that's like the thing that actually matters. Like if it's like if the meat is actually like cold before, then like we're good. It's gonna be fine. But then like everything else, the decor is terrible. The layout is terrible. Like they couldn't have thought of a worse way to lay out that interior. It's just useless to be in. And then, so you sit outside on these little picnic tables, which are all directly underneath the blue line tracks. So you can't
get
hear
dripped
shit.
On. There's this mystery liquid. And it's truly a mystery because sometimes it'll give you a buff. It's the pills from Binding of Isaac. Yeah.
When it gives you a buff, it's train piss. When it gives you a nerf, it's train cum. Yeah. You can't tell the difference.
You can't speak at all. Like if Tom is in front of you, like an inch from you, speaking, and the train starts, no. What happens is your skull just shakes, and then the train cum gets in your eye.
Yeah, if you're trying to speak when the train goes overhead, not only are you not getting anything done hearing wise, but like you can't have your mouth open during that process because like even if it doesn't happen, like it's gonna happen, Why allow it to happen?
There's a place that I don't think as good as Red Hot Ranch. It's Byron's on the north side on Irving Park in Sheffield by the Sheridan Red Line. it's just a hut. It's just like, how is this technically a structure?
It looks like, dude, you know what it looks like? It looks like if you took one of the squares from a Tetris piece, made it 3-dimensional, and put it on the ground. Like, that's like, it's just like, surely no one built a building like that. Like, that can't be allowed.
Yeah, and it's on a parking lot that is like, there's the value. Yeah. But it's also right under the red line train. It grumbles. My favorite Byron's thing that's happened is I was there with my buddy and roommate at the time, Mike, and we were getting, and he's like, I would like a burger, and the woman was like, she asked like, hey, do you want blank? And like, sometimes you just agree. Okay, you just agree. Like, he just agreed. Yeah. Then he gets it. She put a whole gyro on the burger, of like gyro meat. Yes, and it was just like that realization of just like communication broke down in a very interesting way here.
I mean, okay, that's great, because one of the few things in Wilmette that isn't like awful, it's actually gotten cool now, which is so fucked. Like, it's not like the shitty suburb that I grew up in is not allowed to have good things in it like 10 years after I'm gone forever. Jesus Christ, I'm so old. 10 years ago, I was like out of Wilmette for 6 years already. Anyway, it can't get good. But the point being, the one thing that was good is that there was a hole in the wall, like filth hole, that was like a truly disgusting grease pit run by an old Greek man who disdained in a huge way his clientele of almost exclusively grade schoolers. But the thing there was the Nicky special that was a fucking cheeseburger with like enormous pile of gyro meat on it. And I knew about that. Like, I was eating that like sort of before I was even fully cognizant that like most burgers didn't have gyro on them. And
you thought it was like lettuce in terms of normalcy.
Yeah. I
mean, it should be.
I mean, I say, and I assume roommate Mike would agree, it tastes fucking good. Speaking of things tasting fucking good, so if you really want an authentic Chicago dog experience, both if you're like a Chicagoan and you're just like, it's been a while since I had a Chicago dog, where am I gonna go? Or if you're a tourist, my in-laws were here, and I was like, if they express interest in a Chicago dog, I'm taking them here. They didn't, because my mother-in-law doesn't eat beef, so there you go. But my plan was, if there was any interest, I'd be like, well, I'm going to take you to the authentic place where you're going to get a real Chicago dog, best tasting version you'll ever have in your life, which is the little aluminum hell cube after checkout at Home Depot.
Depot dogs. Tom and I went. I've eaten a lot of Chicago dogs. That's on the same level. Like, I mean, like, it's like sound design. Like, you notice it when it's bad, but like when it's good, it's a warm bath. It's fine.
Here's the thing, folks. Chicago dogs, the ingredients are really well publicized. And, like, it's not like someone's using heirloom tomatoes on this. Like, they're all the same, you know? The few things that you can sort of, like, whiff on is not having a Vienna beef brand sausage as your hot dog. But they do. So, like, I don't know. If you have the little aluminum trays full of all the fucking components, it's going to taste exactly the same anywhere. I've had a lot of Chicago dogs from a lot of places. They taste the fucking same. I'm sorry. I love them all. People are like, Portillo's has fallen off since they were bought by fucking like Berkshire Hathaway or whatever VC company owns them now. Like, they fall off. They've really cut corners on the food quality, and it's bad now. It tastes the fucking same, folks. It's the fucking same. So, knowing that, as Joe said, is like, as long as you don't fuck up, it's going to taste great and also the same. So what's left is the X factors of, like, at Superdog, the X factor is it's a fucking drive-through and you're sitting in your car and someone brought it up to you after you ordered out over the worst microphone on earth. Fun.
You think about going steady with a lady.
Yeah. And the X factor at the Home Depot is that you just went to Home Depot and then again, there's a hell cube made out of aluminum that a person is trapped in. And you can go up to them and be like, Chicago dog, please. And they have to give you one.
And the one we went to, like the Hell Cube, was it in between the two sets of automatic doors? Was this person in such a state of purgatory?
Yep. There were automatic doors to the left and right. I can imagine that in the winter, that feels bad.
Why were we there? Neem oil, because
your
your tomatoes are getting bit.
Yeah, they're getting bit by aphids. They'll probably be fine. I looked it up, and it's like tomatoes can handle aphid bites generally, as long as it's not like a massive infestation, which it's not because of the neem oil now. Although it's so I cannot clear them out, because it's like, in order for neem oil to work, you must simply cover 100% of the surface area of the plant every day for 7 days. And it's like, well, these tomato plants are like 5 feet fucking tall and have a lot of leaves. I'm gonna miss some of them. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What were we talking about? Fucking eating dinner? Oh, yeah, Joe,
it was a Chicago dog, and you were talking about the X factors. The other thing I would like to add to that is like the standard expectations on a Chicago dog. Yes, they're all pretty similar. Where there actually is variable, I feel like it's in the celery salt. I feel like that's the thing, because I've definitely had it with the pickles are just like Dorito dusted. Which, to be clear, kicks ass.
Yeah, extra dust version.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the thing. Extra dust on almost all applications is going to elevate. I wonder if that's like just a luck, like a good and bad luck thing. Like, because, I mean, they're just shaking. It just depends on if the person shaking is going to shake for an extra sugar nut. This is just like what all the TikTokers are doing to Chipotle, where they bring like a camera crew, and if they get like one bean less than they think is appropriate, like they're like, folks, all 10 million of my subscribers, please look at this man, memorize his face, and kill him if you see him on the street. He's one of the big bitches.
He works here.
Yeah, like this is, oh God. Have I yammered at you about how you need to go to Best Intentions yet? Talk about a good burger. Yummy.
Yes, I know you have yammered at me because like you've brought it up a few times. Like, oh, maybe we go to Best Intentions. Like, oh wait, yeah, that wouldn't work. Like you bring it up before you think of the logistics. Sometimes you're just like so excited at the idea that like maybe we can go get that burger. So I've had a lot of burgers. I'm excited about this one. Tell me, like, what has you doing the wolf head pounding on the table?
3 things. 1, it's $6. So many burgers are like $12, $15, $18. This motherfucker is $6. I'm sorry, folks, but like that alone, and there's a lot of possible faults that I'm going to overlook for it being $6. 2, it's got this delicious sauce that is like mayo with curry powder that they make there. They also give you a little tub of it if you order fries. And if you're someone who hears mayo and curry powder and goes, yuck, well, I'm sorry. I'm sad that you have to be that way. In the same way that I'm sad that I hear about eggs and go, yuck. It's a shame for both of us. But this goo is like out of this world delicious. I could lick it up out of the fucking tub raw, and I would like it. And they put it on the burger. 3, they cook it with the onions. They do the smash burger, and I know this because Kevin and I got some of these on a weekend afternoon because they open at 11 on weekends. So he went and he got burgers for lunch, and I looked because there was no one else in. I looked into the kitchen, and they smashed the smash burger. They put the onions on it, and then they put like a fucking thingy. They put like a dome, like a dome. They put a cover over it, and it steams with the onions.
Ooh, okay.
Like from fucking White Castle.
All right.
And those 3 things, combine them, yummy time for everyone. The only problem is like, well, not the only problem. So I'm having my siblings come over to see the new in quotes condo, new to them. They haven't been yet. And as they do this, it's like, I'll bring my kids, and let's go out for dinner. Let's have dinner. And it's like, where the fuck can I bring like 7 people, 4 of them being kids? And it's like, let's go to fucking Best Intentions. We'll have the burgers. Except, no, it's a bar. Like, it is a bar. Like, they card you immediately when you enter the door, no matter what you look like. so we can't bring the fucking kid. And it's like, that's so bullshit, because like the only other place near me that like I could bring 7 people is this place that is mid as hell. Remember how I said, oh, some burgers are like $18? Well, you know how I fucking know? This place. Blah. Anyway, that's my story. I'm trying to get people to go to fucking Best Intent. It's yummy. It's good. To me, it's yummy. I went there for my birthday, and I had the Reuben. They have a big-ass Reuben. It's called the Huge Reuben on the menu, and they like corn the corned beef there with like their own brine. And it's so fucking good. It's like you can tell that like you're shaving a full year off of your heart's operational range, but like so worth it. This is such good audio for everyone to hear, especially those who aren't in Chicago.
I will talk about food all the time. You don't have to be in Chicago to hear. The thing I want to do, dear listener, I told Tom this, is there was a WTTW show. It was called that's our like public access.
Yeah. Are you talking about Check Please?
Yes, and I want to take the audio from that, and because it's like always 3 people reviewing a restaurant, so I want to just like cut 2 of them out and put us in them. Then there's one with Obama, which would be wonderful. And I was thinking like one of the runners for that would have been. He brings up stuff that's like not on topic. Like he's saying stuff he said in the recording, but we're not talking about that, man. You can't even follow the conversation.
Yeah, he'd be like, I love Cajun food here. And it's like, this is an Italian restaurant, idiot. Like, what are you talking? Cajun food? Shut up. This is why no one likes your legacy.
Another Chicago thing that is not food related, but will probably have headline related news is just the DNC is going to be here. Mm-hmm. I saw the street closures map, and it reminded me of the episode of The Simpsons when the meteor is hitting, and it's like Moe's Bar.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to get black bag just because I'm like taking out my trash.
I love how... every time, like, I didn't know who Josh Shapiro was, period. I had never heard of that guy. And now every time I learn a new fact about, like, how extremely conservative he is, how he wrote an op-ed in college about how, like, Arabs have too much, their passive ability.
Their battle stat is too high. Yes. Yeah. Their aggro range is too high. Yeah, it's very...
Their passive abilities that like every time they get into a battle, like it's as though they have first strike, even if they were attacked first, which normally the attacker would get first strike. So because of that, it's irrational for them to not be constantly in battle, because that would make their passive less efficient. You have to be in battle as much as possible. And because of that, they cannot be trusted with a state. And it's just like, okay, cool, man. And then like fucking Fetterman, the ogre, it's like, this guy's a little too conservative for me. It's like, you love being conservative. It's your favorite thing.
He's really had some real dingers lately. Him putting on the suit for BB was so funny. Just like a perfect end to his deal.
Yeah, putting on a suit makes me so depressed that I have to go to an institution because the suit made me so sad. It made me feel like I wasn't myself. But if like a big time like genocide guy's coming around, well, okay, I understand that the suit is appropriate for this.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to seem disrespectful. Man, if he's saying like, I don't know, this is a bit much. And his thing is he keeps getting head injuries and becomes more reactionary.
I love that. It's so
like
funny.
A Fred Flintstone, but instead of like becoming like a fun race car driver, it's just new bad beliefs about Palestinians.
A race war driver. I guess. Pretend I didn't say that, folks. That wasn't that funny. But anyway, all of this is to say, the more I learn about Josh Shapiro and how awful he is, the more I'm like sure he's gonna be.
He's a prosecutor too, right? Or
I don't know, maybe. I mean, Kamala's a prosecutor. I feel like that's too much.
You can't have double.
Yeah, that's like on Veep when fucking Elaine is running for president, and they're like, who's gonna be your VP? Maybe a woman. She's like, 2 women? What the fuck? America doesn't deserve that. Veep is that's another thing. This entire situation that we're living through is like pure Veep. Like, this is exactly a Veep plot.
I haven't seen Veep, but the show is constructed in such a way that like the actions of POTUS are like distant always, right? Like,
yeah, POTUS is never shown on screen. I mean, he also, like, midway through the series, POTUS becomes like irrelevant. Like, he like resigns. So like it's basically this. It's like again, this is what, like, POTUS poof goes away, and then like suddenly the Veep, who has been like a vestigial useless nothing, is like, fuck, do I have to like win? Like, do I have to do things now? Oh shit. Like, it's exactly this. But to answer your question, like, yes, even with that, even when POTUS goes away and is not a character anymore, like, it is very much like the entire structure of the show and the plots is that, like, it feels like a Smiling Friends world where just like anything can happen at any time. You live in a world of total chaos where nothing can be planned for more than a second in advance. And anything that you think is the case will be completely reversed in 2 seconds by forces you don't understand.
So that's, I think 30 Rock has that energy too, which is why I love it as much. Is there's just like that they're fine being cartoon people. Anything's on the table.
Like, Jenna will just show up and say, like, here's what I'm doing this week. And you're just like, fuck, okay. Why not?
So we can switch to parenting for a second, which I'm doing flawlessly. Everything is S rank, no issues. My Ivan, my sweet baby, he's been upset before. Babies get upset. I would not say until recently he has been like explicitly, acutely scared. Like, I mean, like Scooby-Doo, like fear. Like, he saw a ghost and you are shaking. And it recently happened, and it was because of my own actions, and I could feel my heart turn to human shit. What happened is we got a knockoff Roomba because we have cats and he's roaming a lot. So we're like, all right, well, that'll help with the stray litter a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense.
He loves like the normal vacuum. He likes loud machines.
He's a little kid. Yeah.
He likes the dustbuster. When I turned on the knockoff Roomba and it left the charging station at like 0.00000001 miles per hour, he reacted probably like the way that guy who saw a movie for the first time. It's like the train's coming right for us.
It really was coming right for him.
And he was in his like playpen, so he was like in jail, like grabbing the bars as he like freaks and does this, and I immediately feel awful because like obviously he's kind of in distress, and I look to Winnie expecting like obviously she's gonna be like oh no. I look over at Winnie and she's doing like a Hank Hill chuckle about it, which was so fun.
I mean, I'm kind of with both of you on this. So like, what's he scared of? What does he think's gonna happen? I mean, could it be
he
that, like,
was shaking? Though, like, I've never like it was because he's at this stage where they call it cruising, which is like unfortunate. Yeah. But that's when they stand and like move along something they're leaning against, like a table or whatever. Yeah. So he's doing that all the time in his playpen. So when he starts shaking, he's like moving left and right as he's like scared of skeletons type shaking. And it was just so, it was a little much. And it made me feel bad.
I mean, like, is there a way you can sort of exposure therapy to him? Like, you pick him up, he feels safe, and then it starts going, and you like put your foot in front of the robot, and it's like, look, Ivan, it didn't hurt. Or is it just like this is Satan? Like, this is a big demon who's in your house, so he's gonna hate forever.
Like, I don't know. Like, the workaround has been I have just scheduled it to run when he is not going to be on that floor and won't see it.
Okay,
but. Like if I try it again and he has that same reaction,
you're gonna feel like shit.
The part of my heart that isn't human shit will have completely converted into human shit.
Okay. He's gonna be like afraid of frisbees later, and he's gonna be like, I just don't understand why I have this phobia of frisbees. It doesn't make sense.
Like I hate that game Tribes. I can't handle it.
Fuck. I'll be like, Ivan, I need to play you some prog rock on vinyl, and I'll like pull out a fucking LP, and he'll go, no. Well, he'll do that in general, and then he'll see the disc and go, no. Fuck. God damn. I want to run this by you as like, should I do this? So, in a couple of Saturdays from now, there is a Final Fantasy VII Symphony concert at 3:30 p.m. that I am going to. I have tickets. I have had them for months. I later learned last week that on that same day at 7:30, 4 hours later, so you could go to both, at the Empty Bottle in Chicago, Illinois, there is going to be like a 5-hour-long video game music concert extravaganza with 5 acts, the headliner of which is a jazz fusion band that only plays Chrono Trigger music. So, like, am I going to both? Is that what I'm going to do? Should I do that?
Have you ever been more micro-targeted? Like, this is disgusting. This is fucking disgusting.
Dude.
It's like, and then guess what? The Venture Brothers guys, they got their journals there. You can just read them.
And Tim Robinson will be there, and he's gonna say, if anyone's got a podcast with a great energy, I'm free. I'd love to be on it.
Empty Bottle's not large, right? Like,
it's Beat Kitchen. Did I say Empty Bottle? Beat Kitchen. I've never been to Beat Kitchen, so I have no fucking clue.
If they're only playing Chrono Trigger, that means... So, okay, my concern is that there isn't another jazz fusion band, because if you're playing video game music and you're doing jazz, you have to do Magical Sound Shower, which is the Outrun theme. Mm-hmm. It's just fucking rad. Sega actually has like an in-house band, and would you believe it, that's mainly... that's kind of like what they do mostly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. That's just one of... All I know is that one of the 5 groups is the Kingdom of Zeal, the jazz fusion Chrono Trigger band. We'll see. I have heard... There's a guy on YouTube I watch who made literally the argument that, like, video game music is... Like, jazz bands playing video game music should not be considered, like, a goofy thing or, like, a nerd pandering. Because he's like, well, what are jazz musicians playing normally? Like, what are these standards that like get
total
played?
Garbage, confusing. What the fuck?
I mean, it's all what it is it's all like fucking show tunes from what was like the popular shows of the 20s and 30s, and like
also like the whole jazz thing. It's like you're feeding the video game music through the jazz machine, right?
Yes, exactly, and it's like yes, because like these fucking show tunes weren't written as jazz tunes. It's just that like. The bands are like, we need to play a melody that people are going to be like, I know what that is, and then we'll do our fucking solos and shit.
They needed their input, like, yes, yeah,
to
transform
it. What like so the whole point of like why is there a standard is like there's a popular song that everyone knows, and because everyone knows it, everyone in the band can fucking improvise over it, and like. In what sense does Bob on Battlefield not fit that criteria? Like, hell, like why not? Like it's not embarrassing. It's not stupid. Of course, the people who like video game music exclusively, they're kind of stupid. But I would say that of anyone who likes any type of music exclusively, just video game music just has a stink on it because, you've met those people.
You know what is the best fucking boss music of any game, in my opinion? Legend of Mana. The regular boss music is just like this very heavy, I guess, metal. It's just like a case of like, this is too hard. Like, why? You're really going for it.
Did you ever see that post from a composer who like responded to some post that was like, the music in this game did not have to go this hard, and he responded, he's like, actually, like Capcom is really strict about the kind of soundtracks that they'll approve. It did have to go that hard, otherwise they wouldn't have paid me.
Oh, the name of the boss music is Pain the Universe.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that. Pain the Universe. There's the fucking I played Live Alive, the remake of that game. I didn't care much for it. I felt like it didn't live up to
I
the
enjoyed
hype.
hearing about the caveman part.
Yeah. But a caveman, it's a story of how a caveman invented nutting. No, he invented talking because he nutted, and he had to go like Yahoo.
He'd apologize.
Yeah, I don't know what that stuff is. I don't know how that came out of there.
This has never happened before.
Anyway, there's like the boss theme, Megalomania, which obviously is extremely similar to the. And Toby Fox has, I believe, said as much, like publicly and without shame, that Megalovania, the classic track from Undertale that all the fucking Tumblr kids make TikToks of, where they want to fuck the skeleton, is like that's like basically just a riff off of Megalomania. And as much as I didn't like Live Alive, every time there was a boss fight and that fucking shit started playing, I'm just like, oh yes, like this is what games. This is like, why else make video games than to have this kind of like bullshit beep boop music just going nutty. I love it.
So the other thing that I've been doing, this is new for me. I'm taking care of myself.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, I know, right? I have a Joe Covery plan.
Tell me more.
Well, basically, it kind of comes back to the central thing we had discussed before when we were like sort of in a creative rut, which was just like, we're not watching anything. There's nothing being put into our brains. Like there's no input happening.
Yeah.
And one of the issues is, as I was so burnt out and just fucking cooked, I can't put the inputs in. Therefore, no new goo happens, and I continue to feel stagnant and whatever.
Yeah.
So just getting back on this means like watching stuff. That's why like finishing Severance was nice, because it was like both good in the context of the episode. I liked it, but then it had like the I rode the bike feeling.
Yeah, like I am able to like follow a plot line and engage with themes. And
if you're like, you really having trouble watching TV show, you sound like one of them pussies. The thing is, I was so burnt out, folks. I was just like working all the time, not really sleeping, up very early, have a kid, just insane at base level, and other stuff. But anyway, the other thing that I've been trying to do is like, did you ever read about how when Steve Jobs died, like they just like left his office because like everyone was like, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of doing the same thing with my current office. Like I'm letting the bad spirits get out of it. I've only used it for recording this, and then if we could talk in not serious magical terms, but I was like, I must take back this psychic space. Mm-hmm. What would do that?
Monster
Would be on? Yes, Monster Train. What would honor who I am and like cleanse this space? Monster Train. So I played a few games of Monster Train. I've like literally have not played a video game in a long time, with the exception of like maybe an auto roguelike, but I wouldn't even finish those. I'd just be like, I want to sleep instead. So Monster Train is still so fucking good.
So you mentioned there's a new race.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Who am them?
Okay, so they have an expansion, and that is where you get the race. They are called Wormkin.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that shit rules. I like everything about them thematically. Mechanically, I don't love what I'm about to explain. But generally, so like their thing is they are heavy into consumables. Like, as in like they like their cards that are consumed on use, and they have shit that like does things when they get consumed. And ways to get your consumables back, that sort of thing.
Beautiful. Seems very in line, not in line, but of a variation on theme with the Candle People, where the Candle People, the people burn down and come back. But this seems like the worms, they're treats burn down and come back.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where things get a little complicated. I think they're fun to play, but I think they're a little too much by half for this reason. So you know how you get cards, like in your fucking game? Like you get a deck of however many. When you play the Wormkin or have them as your allied class, just a set number of your cards are like covered in like purple-ass crystals. And what that means is when you play that card that has purple-ass crystals, and it's the card is unchanged. It's the same. It's a card like it would be anything else, but it's just got these fucking purple crystals. What happens then is that room gets like a power gem, and then the power gems make things nutty, like attack power based on how much is powered up in the room, and then they have a mechanic called extract, which removes gems to do like crazy shit. And
I mean, I'm hearing gems. I don't see the problem yet. Are you gonna hit me with the twist?
Yeah, the twist is that the gems are tedious. Gems must be good and fun and not a cognitive burden. They just don't. It's just a little too much. Like you're keeping track of too much shit.
What if I called it a totem, and it was a little like wooden post?
If it was just one. Yes, because like the other thing that is like happening is like I don't know how many slots a room has of gems. Like I think it's like either 4 or 5. You can fill it up all the way. Like you'd have 8, but like when the turn ends, it would go down to 4. So you're also playing with a lot of temporary capacity. Mm-hmm. And then I played the Candle People. And it's like, okay, so this is like the most perfect designed faction in any fucking video game that has ever been made.
I don't know if you know this, but the champion is a 50-50 who costs 0.
And like in the expansion, they must have added additional. I don't know what you want to call them. You know, every hero has like variations.
Yeah,
they must have added an additional variation for all the heroes because there's a little Fade one now that is like insanely good and just objectively easier to use. Little Fade's thing is like, what if you had a hero that just loves to die, has to die, I can't stop it.
It's like it's a candle person. You remember that video that went around of the British child going, "This paradise punch lemonade, it's minging, suck your dad." What if that was a candle?
That's
and
Little
loved
Fade.
Dying.
That's Little Fade, the SoundCloud rapper. And basically all the variations for her revolve around just making sure she dies in very specific ways to benefit either, the people in the room or just attack the people who kill her. One of the new variations is like on death, add a ton of burnout and power and health to all creatures, regardless if they have burnout. Mm-hmm. And it's just like this scales like the amount of work you have to do compared to like all the shit you have to do for the Spikes version, which is like she starts with a little thorns effect that does 1 damage, and then every time someone dies getting thorned, it goes up. And you could see like how you have to cultivate that so carefully over the course of a game. And this was just like, fuck it, everyone's big candles, keep dying. Oh, and this is why. This is the thing that's crucial. This variation of her has endless. You never have to revive her. You never have to fucking revive her, Tom. She's just back in your hand.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This game is... I gotta play Monster Train. Jesus Christ. I'm still on... Oh, I'm on Elden Ring. Me and AJ Diddy, when he was guest we were talking about Elden Ring, and he was like, "Oh, people say that the DLC is too hard." No, it's not. It's not too hard. It's exactly in line with the game already. I'll go so far as to say, because I was playing the DLC and I would pop back to the base game every once in a while. The Halig tree, which is a fucking part of the base game that sucks big ass, is like twice as hard as anything in the DLC. However, I said that was my opinion before I got to the final boss of the DLC, who is fucking impossible. And I have not beaten him yet, and I don't know if I ever will. I'll keep trying, but like, dear Lord.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
There are 2 types of final bosses in video games.
Yeah.
There's huge guys, and fast guys. Which one is it?
So I'm devastated to tell you that he's huge and fast.
These games are on another level.
Joe, you know what? I've made this joke before that, like, if I was a video game boss and I knew what my moveset was, I would simply do my most powerful move over and over. And I would never do the move that has a large cooldown where I, like, slowly, like, pick my sword back up for 2 seconds before I can do something else. Well, the guy listened to me. He's doing that in the game. He's only doing his best moves, and if he does have a move that is a long cooldown, it doesn't fucking happen. So here's what really. So he's big and fast. And it has 2 phases, obviously. So in the first phase, he's just a fucking huge guy with humongous swords who occasionally will use gravity magic against you, where he'll shoot up in the air and shoot rocks at you for using gravity magic. Yeah, okay, makes sense. So you can either avoid the slashes, or you can do what I do, where you drink the special Sekiro juice that turns the game from Elden Ring into Sekiro, which makes it so that when you press the guard button right before you get hit, it doesn't cost stamina, and it makes your next guard counter more powerful. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll simply parry all of his slashes, and then when he gets to the end of a combo, I'll do a guard counter that's going to be super powerful, and it'll just kick his big ass. And I've played enough times that I'm, like, pretty good at knowing his combos and the timing and all that. And I'm like, okay, I can do it. And I can pretty regularly get him to phase 2. And in phase 2, he earns the ability to shoot out fucking beams. And you might be thinking, I wonder what the animation, the wind-up for the beam shooting is. There isn't one.
They just come out of his eyes.
They just come out of... Sometimes it comes from the fucking sky, just straight down. Sometimes
it's like a WoW druid. That's fun.
Yeah, and sometimes it shoots out of him like a big beam, and it tracks you. So if you, like, dodge, he will just keep fucking... He'll move the beam, and it's very fast. He doesn't move it slow. And I have something... And they're holy damage. The beams are holy damage. And I have a build that has something like 80% holy damage negation on top, which, yeah, it means exactly that. So, like, if I were to have a holy damage attack that did 100 damage hit me, I would only take 20. When I get hit by these beams, I fucking, like, have over half my health bar go away. And,
so you would be shoes otherwise?
Yeah, pretty much. I cannot understand what I'm supposed to do beyond respec into a great shield build and just poke him with a spear behind my great shield for an hour. Or, like, grind 100 levels, which I don't want to do. Hey, yeah. This is a game... I complain, but Elden Ring's so fucking good. I love that shit.
You're also kind of disparaging of having a big shield and, like, poking for an extended period of time. But, man, Lance in Monster Hunter, it has no moveset. It only has high poke and straight poke, and you only have different waltzes, steps. Like, you can waltz left, waltz right. But, so fucking fun. It's so, like, what else do you need? It's just all these other weapons they transform, they have meters, they change color. The sharp stick, what else do you need?
I can't believe when I was playing that Monster Hunter game that we played on Switch, I forget what it's called. It had, like, a bunch of words after Monster Hunter instead of a number. When we were playing that shit, I couldn't believe what I was hearing every time I was looking into the insect glaive.
Because it's so fucking fun. The goo that is different colors based on where you hit the monster. That is the Japanese game development mind at work.
Because, like, folks, like, legit, so you have the glaive, the part where you hit the monster with to do damage, but you also have a bug friend. And you can press a button that shoots the bug friend in a straight line ahead of you. And then if it hits the monster, depending on where on the monster it hits, it'll extract a different type of goo. And you can have, like, 3 goos at a time. And the combination of goos will have different effects. So if you want a specific effect, you have to get those types of goo.
Which is just a lot to be juggling mentally, because, like, every Monster Hunter fight is just like, oh shit, don't hit me, oh fuck, don't hit me.
I think about, like, maybe what would happen if I used the insect glaive? Well, for one, I would never hit the monster with the insect. Like, I would miss every time. Because this is the thing about the
You
monster.
would
If you haven't
lose the
played
bug.
Monster Hunter,
Like, you would go and he would just not come back.
the monsters don't fucking stand still. That's like one of the main things they do is not stand still.
And they hate you. Like, they're kind of dicks.
They're trying to get you, dude. So like it's honestly like asking you to like do the taxes for like someone who owns 3 small businesses. And so, like,
That's why I gave up on gun lance. Because, like, there are 3 types of ammo for the gun lance. There's long, wide, and shot.
Nope.
And then in addition to that, shooting generates heat, so that also is another thing to manage. And obviously, the hotter you get, the more powerful the melee stabs are.
Nope.
Also, the gun part has -1 range, so it's really stupid to call it a gun. Like, there was just too much happening. And then I tried the lance, and I was like, oh, it only pokes.
Yeah.
And it's got a counter. There's like it has some move where like you kind of like shoulder check through a move. That's dope.
That is pretty good. I mean, I think the difference between that and what I was describing in Elden Ring is that the lance in Monster Hunter is a comedy lance that is like 10 times as long as you are tall.
So funny.
And you can do a move where you just like run. You do like a big run while you're
You
holding
do
it
the
out.
Don Quixote at the windmill.
Yeah, except it works. The windmill really is a giant. But with Elden Ring, it's just it straight up just is you're standing still with a shield and like a normal, like even the ridiculous like Colossus spears kind of look normal when compared to the lances from Monster Hunter. And also it does less damage than like a normal weapon because like that's the trade-off of it being the safe turtley weapon that you can poke while your shield is up, like poke, poke, poke. So like just in terms of how long it will take to get this motherfucker's HP bar down, and that method is like, oh yeah, God, okay, let's go, poke, 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 and it just goes on and on. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Probably do have to. Fuck it.
There's something so satisfying though when you just have the regular lance and you are underneath a monster and you are just jabbing it repeatedly, like in the one place it doesn't want to be jabbed. You're just like, yeah, 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 I'm being the most effective. Yeah, yeah.
I loved Hunting Horn because I just think it's very funny that, like, on one hand, it's like a useful skill on the weapon in that, like, you can cast buffs over everyone in the party. You know, so obviously,
Which is like as a concept too, right?
But then, like, you're just bashing a dinosaur with a clarinet.
A bagpipe made of rocks that I toot on.
It's like, this
honestly,
is fun.
The reason I like Bloodborne the best is because it has Monster Hunter weapons.
It'd be so cool if Bloodborne was playable on anything other than the PS4, a system that can't run it correctly. But that's Japan, baby. Just because just because everyone wants a product that is easy to provide doesn't mean they'll do it.
They put all the Dark Souls on PC just fine. Like, I know it's different a little, but like it's still a video game, right?
I don't know, dude. I think it has something to do with Sony because like Dark Souls and Elden Ring are Bandai Namco, but Bloodborne isn't. But Sekiro also isn't, and that's on PC.
Oh, you know what it is? It's too spooky.
It is fucking scary, dude. You can turn into a monster. You can turn into like a werewolf. Well, you can't. People do, and they try to get you afterwards. Also, like goopy guys, and then like monsters. These all are things that I don't like. So, Joe, before we wrap up, I want to talk about the Joe Covery plan. I'm very pleased to hear this. Because
yeah, I abandoned that. It was taking too long, Tom.
No, fuck you. No new input. Yeah, we discussed that in the past. It's always an issue.
It was a big pandemic problem for obvious reasons.
I was moaning about how like I feel creatively stagnant because, and this is especially acute because it had been the 1 year anniversary of Sicko Shock 2, and I'm just like, shit, I haven't like written anything substantial since then. I really feel like I'm at my best when I'm doing something, when I have like a project like that, but I don't know how I would like do that because all of the audio dramas came out of a period of very fertile creativity, where Anime Sickos was a very new and exciting thing. Everything was different. It felt like there was so much infinite possibilities. We came up with a ton of ideas, and then like I spent years executing on them. Sickos now is very comfortable, which is a good thing, and I'm glad that we have made it so. But because of that, it is not exploding with fertile creativity in the way it once was. So I'm just like, I don't have a fucking thing to do now. Like, what do I write? And like I can't like do a project because I'm like, well, I don't have any ideas that I'm like willing to put a lot of time into, and it's like fuck. It's very stuck for no new input. And I gotta say, one thing that I've gotten a lot of fucking fun out of is like I spent a lot of years like FOMOing over like people who like they're seeing a band at a bar, they're doing this, they're going to a show. And it occurred to me like a couple months ago
that you can just do it.
I can just go. Like I don't have to wait until there's like a band I've heard of. Like I can just be going, and like sometimes it's free, dude. Like it's so good. Like, I can't believe it. I love this shit. It's very shakes up the brain. Yeah. When things are all stale, it gives it a nice stir. I'd like to go to one such with you, but I do understand that for a number of reasons, you leaving the house post 7 p.m. is like a no-go.
Yeah, I did really want to go with you to, a 10 a.m. Friday coffee tasting. They did flights of coffee at this place. What was it called?
Metric.
Yeah, and that's like exactly the thing I just would have loved to do. Time constraint-wise, it didn't work out. I would have also been like, these all taste like coffee. Actually, you know what I would have done? I would have gone in there because they did flights, right? So they like lay out several in front of you.
Yeah, there were 4 types that were on display.
The thing is about tasting, you gotta like have a baseline, or it doesn't mean anything. So I go in there with a big gas station coffee. So like I sip theirs, and then I do a big gulp of the coffee, and then I let them know how it compares. And then I do it again and again until someone kicks my ass.
Dude, I mean, you joke, but like, I had a big issue with that because it was like, I talked about this a lot on Twitter, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but it was very crowded. And as a result, the time it took to get from, coffee 1 to coffee 2 was like legitimately 5 minutes just because the fucking people weren't moving. And as a result, when I got to coffee 2, I'm like, okay, time to compare this to coffee 1. Oh, fuck. I don't remember what coffee 1 tasted like. And then that repeats fucking endlessly. And so at the end, he's like, now, which of these did you like best? I'm like, I thought they were all pretty good. It's like, now, which of these did you feel had the most acidity? It's like, I don't know, man. It sounds like I'm disparaging it. Like, if you are into coffee and are in Chicago, like, you have to do this. It is such a incredible opportunity to do for free. And like the guy running it is like you made sort of a joke, Joe. Like, I'm gonna tell the guy, like, oh, make me, like, hire me to roast the coffee, free me from the computer. Honestly, I don't think there's a guy alive who would be more excited to mentor someone in the coffee arts than this guy. He looks like he's having the time of his life sharing coffee facts with people. But doing shit's hard, but you gotta do it. I feel like that's a good thing.
That's literally why it's obviously small in scope compared to like going to see a show, but like that's why I fucking watching Severance, played Monster Train, did a few runs, was like, all right, like,
yeah, take the first
that's
step,
a momentum. Dude. That is a momentum building move. Yes.
Hell yeah.
And then I can go back to being. What if I said 20s Joe? Like, it's not like the youth part, but just like the out and about all the time aspect.
Yeah, dude, I'd love that. I mean, honestly, here's what I would love. On a day that's not 100 degrees, so maybe in like, 2 months, the last non-101 degrees day of
it's
Earth.
Going to be 70 degrees next weekend, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's good 606 walking weather.
606 walking weather. We won 606. I want to be hanging on the roof with you, Winnie, and Ivan. I'm thinking like this is a slam. This is what I would love. To me, this would be great because I mean, I do like when you come and hang out in the day, but I can't help noticing there ain't no Winnie, there ain't no baby, and Joe left after an hour and a half.
I had to go get that baby you were talking about.
No, it's true. I feel it. Like, come on, let's do it. The momentum's building, is what we're saying. I like it. We're done. The episode's over. You know what I'm gonna title this episode? You're gonna love this. It's gonna become more podcasts about buildings and food.
I like that's for me.
All right,
that's for me.
That's all the time we have for me, Sickos. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.